Good morning and welcome to the Garden of Grace devotion. My name is Pastor Katie, and today I have with me my dear friend, Joy. Welcome, Joy.
Hello.
Joy and I have been blessed to journey together in life and ministry for what, Joy? Like, I don't know, 15 years?
Yes, at least. Yep.
Something like that. So Joy is here today because I am doing this series on Road to Emmaus moments. So I reached out to Joy and I said, Joy, can you think of a time when God was walking with you and you were walking with God, but maybe you didn't see it until you looked back and you went, I see you, Lord. So, Joy, what would you like to share with us today?
I was when Katie asked me the question, Pastor Katie asked me the question, I thought long and hard. And I think that there are probably, like I told her, hundreds, thousands of times when that's the case. But as often is the case, memory doesn't serve you as well as it needs to, sometimes. So you're not going to remember every moment. But I think that's actually the beauty of it. The beauty of it is that it happens and you're aware at that moment, and it's the awareness you needed in that moment, but you're not going to remember it forever. And the good thing is that there's always going to be another moment where God shows you exactly the same thing. So I was able to come up with one. And there was a night about a month and a half ago when I was sitting at the table with my family. It was right after dinner, and I was trying to remember the name of a person who led worship with me for years. And I got stuck. We had a pastor that was named John. We had a worship pastor that was named John. And I was like, what is John? What is John's last name? What is John's? And I see him. I know everything I have ever known about him, but
You
I
got a
just could
lot of
not.
information, Joy, in there, just stuck together.
And I was like, John. I said, honey, what is John's last name? And he was like, John Allison. And I was like, John Allison. That's it. Amazing. Woo. And I kid you not, within 5 minutes of me saying his name, but let me preface it first. The reason why I was even thinking about John is because for the past, since COVID, we've been doing worship, and worship has been a reduced worship with fewer musicians than we've ever had, all the way down to just me leading worship with tracks. And the energy that that takes, regardless of how beautiful of an experience it is when you're there, energy that takes is draining. And I was thinking of a time when there were people who were there to push that energy around from one to another.
Sure.
If you didn't have you had a hard week, somebody else was there
Somebody
and
else
they were
had it.
like, exactly, somebody else had it. And I was thinking of that kind of being buoyed up in that way to be like, yes, we're leading worship together. This is a collective effort. And that's why I was thinking about him. So 5 minutes after I said his name, a text came to my phone from John Allison. It had all the people who were part of that worship team with me. Adam and Rex and Godfrey.
Godfrey.
And these are all people who I led worship with again for years, who when I was there, it was the time when it was the least laborious thing in terms of thinking about what we're going to practice, how we're going to rehearse, what we're going to do, because these were all musicians who were excellent at their craft,
It was
and
collaborative.
they all loved. Exactly. It was collaborative and they all loved Jesus. So when you got up there, it was going to be what felt like the most organic thing possible. And it didn't feel like work ever. And to me, that one text was a reminder of a couple of things. One, the fact that the things we do together in the name of Jesus always feel like less work when there are more of us together doing it, right? So, like if for the very different, for all the different things we do, for the ways we serve, right? For us going through things and having a support system that we can call on, like, for the energy that this life takes, right? That it takes a collective. And those people that love Jesus and understand and who have been in those places, the darker places and the sadder places, and the places of struggle, they have been there and they might not be there now, but they understand your struggle. And when they're there with you, it makes the load lighter for you. And so I thought of that. I also thought of the fact that we don't have God's perfect perspective, right? And so that perfect perspective for me is, hearing from John Allison, all of a sudden it put it into perspective. Yes, the collective effort, that collaborative effort of these musicians who are making music for God, turning it into something that wasn't just a let's just duplicate what the best worship song on the radio is. Like, when we were doing that, it was a beautiful thing, but it was also more than that collective. It was about the perspective that every Sunday brought for how beautiful it can be when you collaborate in the name of God, right? And so, like, I think that for me was a, you know, road to Emmaus in the sense that often life is just going. And you need to be reminded of some of the more beautiful things that you've ever encountered. And you need to allow that to not only sit with you about the fact that God was with you in that moment, but the fact that God is always with you. And those beautiful moments can be recreated. They can be. You just sometimes forget that they ever existed because we're humans and we get older and other memories replace it. But God's memory is perfect. It's perfect.
Yes.
And so I just, those are the things I thought of. So John Allison moment of John Allison, boom, text. I was like, what? This is amazing. So that's what I thought of, Katie, when you asked me that question. So
And it seems to me, as you're reflecting on it and talking about it, like sometimes God is with us in ways that are more obvious. Like with people, just, and you feel it differently with people standing around you and with. And then sometimes God is with you in ways that are less obvious, like maybe through this text message. And then I imagine maybe worship was different for you that following Sunday. Is that fair to
yeah.
say?
No, that's definitely fair to say. It's definitely fair to say. Again, when you gain perspective, things
Mm-hmm.
take on different meanings,
Yeah.
right? It becomes less about the fact that I am, tired and burned out, and more about the fact that there is a joy in worship that, that extends past just when you step on the stage. It is a look at what I get to do today. Look at what I get to do today. Right. And I think that that was a reminder of that also. It didn't matter that they weren't there. It was like I told you, it was like an that reverse echo, but that echo remained. So that was the energy, right? That was the energy that was needed to carry on is they may not be here physically with me, but because they've shared the stage ever with me, I am bettered by everything that has ever come before. And so that gave me the energy to be there. And it was different. Absolutely.
In the Apostles' Creed, we talk about, is that in the Apostles' Creed? Being surrounded by a cloud of, no, Hebrews, we talk about being surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses,
Hmm.
you know. Um, in the Apostles' Creed, we talk about the communion of saints, you know. And I don't understand how all that works, but I wonder how often God is with me in ways where the cloud of witnesses or the communion of saints are with me, you know, helping to prop me up, helping to, all the things. And
Yeah.
I don't see it. But I think
Yeah.
that's a neat story of um, how God is with us, and God can bring things to memory, and
Yes.
then we see other things different. So thank you so much, Joy, for sharing your Road to Emmaus moment with us.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
I can tell you that I was blessed to be a part of those worship services. As a parishioner and occasionally as a partner in ministry. So, um, I like thinking back on some of those times too. Well, thank you, Joy, and thank you all for watching. And may God's peace be with you today and always. Take care.